The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to The Secrets of Technology. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Father Joseph Sund. Hey, Father Joseph.
How we doing?
Very well, thanks. And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Howdy, Dom.
Folks, before we get into the show, I want to tell you about another show on the StarQuest Network you're sure to enjoy called The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows. You can find that wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/secrets. Before we get into our discussion today, I've got another one of my Tales of Woe. This is a good one.
Oh, no.
So, the 2 days, Monday, we're recording this on Wednesday. On Monday, I'm having my lunch, as I do, and I'm sitting at the dining room table, and I start hearing this beeping coming from the office. Now, previously, my son had asked if he could vacuum under my desk here in my, in the office, and I said, sure, that's a nice thing for an 11-year-old boy to offer to do for his dad.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but I'm hearing this beeping coming from the office, and I'm like, that sounds like the UPS, the uninterruptible power supply, the battery backup. Why would that be going off? Maybe he accidentally unplugged the UPS while he was vacuuming. So I get up, I come in, and I see him dabbing with a towel at my desk. Why is he?
Oh, no.
Why is he wiping the desk? Why is the desk wet? What is going on? Oh my gosh, he spilled an entire glass of iced tea on my desk. And he didn't yell for me to come and get it to come in, so it was pouring off the back of my desk right down into the battery backup, the UPS, frying it like crazy all over the power strips and the plugs. I was frantically pulling plugs and everything. I was freaking out. I carried the UPS out to the back patio and pulled the batteries because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want this in the house. And I now have a brand new UPS sitting to my left and a brand new power strip and my new mug with a lid and a straw.
There you go. Yes. Lit up your drinks around your computers.
Yes. I mean, I have to have a drink here when I'm podcasting because your throat gets dry. And I've always been very careful. I haven't ever had a spill of my own, but I didn't take into account my son. I still haven't got out of him how it actually happened. If he maybe like smashed the desk with his head as he was underneath or something and that knocked it over. But I had to also then triage and try to figure out how to plug everything back in with, scavenged power supplies from around the house. And that was a frantic few minutes.
Yeah. I think my worst example of that is I enjoy a good cup of coffee for my 7 a.m. Zoom meetings. And at 6:59, I knocked that cup of coffee right over myself. So you just do the meeting covered in coffee, but from the waist up, no one could tell. So
no one could tell that you're scalded.
Yeah,
Victor, why is your face so red and you're sweating?
Yeah. Hey,
I'm okay.
I'm a professional. Best ones play hurt.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, I'm not sure there was a way I could set up this desk. It's an IKEA desk, which is big flat surface, that the liquid couldn't run off the back. But I just know that if he'd yelled out or come and got me, we could have stopped the flood before it was too late. But
it was just time for that UPS to die, right? I mean.
Yeah, it was only 2 years old.
That's about when they give out, right? I mean,
yeah. Let's say that's what it was. I don't think it was even 2 years old. Poor thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, now I got to figure out how to get rid of it. How do you dispose of the big batteries? I got to find a battery recycler.
Yeah,
that's a big pain.
My basement's filled with dead UPSs and their batteries that I'm going to fix someday.
Yes, I like that. Yeah.
Yes.
We all have that little corner of the things that need to be fixed.
Several rectory basements, actually.
When it gets filled up, you just move to a new parish, I guess.
There you go. Honey, it's time to move. We need a new house.
Yeah.
Oh man. So let's get into the main topic of our show and leave this tale of woe behind. We're talking today about focus modes, and focus modes is a relatively new thing for a lot of different computers and a lot of different operating systems. iOS has had focus modes. Mac OS now has it as well, and they sync between your phone and your iPad and your Mac. Android has focus modes. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Windows has focus modes yet, does it?
Windows does have a focus mode. It's hidden over in the little control center.
Okay.
So it's more of a do not disturb mode than a focus mode, but it's somewhat.
Right. So we're gonna focus, pun intended, on iOS and Android focus modes this time, and we want to talk a little bit about how to get it set up, but then then some ideas, some tips for how to use them effectively, because I've been using them for ages, and I want to kind of talk about how I use them, and maybe that'll give you some ideas. But to set them up, let me just talk about how to do it like on an iPhone. It's really easy. So if you open up your phone and you go to the Settings app, and there should be, you scroll down a little bit, and lo and behold, there's a setting called Focus. And when you click on that, there'll be some focus modes that come preset. There's a Do Not Disturb, there's Driving, Personal, Sleep, and Work. Now, the driving one it'll turn on automatically if your car has CarPlay, or if you connect your phone to your car via Bluetooth while you're driving. The sleep one will turn on automatically if you've set up sleep modes in the Health app, and you especially if you have a wristwatch. And like my phone goes into sleep mode automatically during certain hours between, I think I have it 10:30 to 6, I think it is, and so on. And the other ones are more manual, but you can automate them. I have set up a few of my own that are specific to my situation. But one of the nice things about it is that you can, with iOS 16, you can say, only allow these people to be able to contact me when this focus mode is on, or allow everyone but these people when this focus mode is on. Like if you just have some people that you just do not want to be able to reach you during some times, you can have apps that are not allowed to alert you, and apps that are, or the apps that only these ones can send you notifications. You can have them customize your screens. Like you can have it, when I turn on personal focus mode, change my lock screen to this. I could have a custom home screen, like the homepage of the apps. Even your Apple Watch can be changed. You can have it activate on a schedule, or when you're in a particular location. You can have it filter your inboxes, which is nice. And not just your mail inbox, but other apps that might have inboxes can access that as well. So, when you're in a personal focus mode, it won't show you your work mail or vice versa. So those are all really nice. The one thing that kind of annoys me a little bit is the driving focus mode will only let you set custom lock screen and watch. Won't let you set a custom home screen, because of course you're not supposed to use your phone when you're driving, except we all need to be able to say access maps or whatever. And it would be nice to have like a custom lock screen that's just my maps, and maybe music or something. I know you're not supposed to touch it, but if you could have it just be maps. There are plenty of times when I'm driving and it's like I've got maps open, I've set a destination, and for whatever reason the Maps app closes, and then I got to fiddle with it to get it back open again. It would be nice if there was one icon and it was just maps. Anyway, get on it, Apple. So so
my driving actually has a customized lock screen set.
Lock screen, but not home screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, the lock screen is fine, but you can't put apps on the lock screen. Although you can put the map lock screen widget, so that might work. Actually, now that I think about it.
Or could you make a special home screen, because you get a whole bunch of them that's just like the Maps app on it, and that's like your main one, so that when you unlock your phone, I don't know.
Well, that's the idea, but
Yeah.
My guess is the reason they're doing that is because they don't want to stop you from getting a car with Apple CarPlay in it.
Well,
Your
suppose,
focus screen is your Apple CarPlay for them.
Right. Well, I mean, they don't want the liability of encouraging people to play with their phone screens while they're driving. I think that's I'm sure that's the big reason. I mean, in a lot of states, that's frankly it's illegal, so they don't want the liability of that. But you could set up your own like home screen page with just the app and manually switch to it when you get in the car. I mean, that's entirely possible, and I could do that. But I kind of like the idea of the custom lock screen with the Maps lock screen widget. That might actually work. That I think that could be good. I'm going to give that a try. So how do you set it up on an Android device?
Yeah, I can't speak for all Android devices, but I did try it today on my Samsung Galaxy phone. The process is a little different for Google Pixel phones, but essentially it's the same. You go to settings, and on a Samsung phone, it's called a digital well-being and parental controls. And it sounds like a lot of the options are the same. You have your work mode, your me time mode, your bedtime mode, your screen time mode, your comfort care, which locks the volume or certain things while you're driving, and then the parental controls on a Galaxy phone are also underneath this bucket, and that's just, I think, standard Google parental controls that they do there. And so I did try this today. I set it up, and it works on kind of you have to kind of whitelist apps that you want to be able to access and send you notifications when you're in these focus modes. So I set it up with a couple apps, and I think within about 20 minutes, I dropped out of focus mode because there was an app I wanted to use that wasn't in focus mode. So I think the point of these things is that you have to be disciplined enough to use them. And I'm just not there yet. It does seem kind of funny that you buy this phone and then you specifically like restrict certain functionality of it, but
right.
I could see it being a powerful thing, and I will give it another try and keep trying at it until I can use it. And then just like there's a bedtime mode where it makes the screen go all grayscale, so the apps don't look as shiny and as appealing to you when you're supposed to be sleeping.
I like that idea. I mean, you can manually switch your iPhone to grayscale in the accessibility settings. And I know people who do that for Lent. And the psychology is sound. I mean, people do say they find themselves using their phone less. But I get Apple like, no, our phone is too beautiful to make it grayscale all the time.
Yeah.
No. But no, I kind of wouldn't mind having that ability. I think Android and iOS also have screen time settings, which allow you to monitor how much you use your phone and what apps you're using and that sort of thing. I don't dare look at it myself. It's just the way it is. Yeah.
You should bring that up during confession. Bring up your screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bless me, Father, for I've sinned. It's been 3 weeks since my last confession. My screen time is 8 hours a day.
My Twitter screen time is 6 hours.
Yeah. It's kind of like on, I know Steam does it, but also on the Switch. They kind of give you an idea of how much time you've played a game. And I think on the Switch, it kind of maxes out at 250 hours. And so my Breath of the Wild save currently has over 250 hours on it. I don't know how many.
The Steam Deck's playtime is, it's just a party killer feature, I think.
Yeah.
My Civ 6 time on the Steam is over 2,000 hours at this point.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, there are times when I leave the game open. Well, when I go to have dinner and come back 2 hours later to keep playing. But yeah. I've done that. So let's talk about focus modes and not about my addiction to gaming. I want to kind of throw out some tips for the ways I use focus mode. Now, I know there are people out there who are religious about focus modes, that their phone is always in a focus mode of one kind or another. They have it in the personal mode when they're not working, and no personal stuff, work stuff can ever get through the personal mode. And, it's very, very regimented. I'm not that. I like to be able to hear from my fellow podcasters at times because I'm friends with them in addition to working with them. And so the lines are not so clearly drawn for me anyway. So, I have a focus mode called Mass that I use. And this was because I was always, worried at Mass that my phone would ring. Someone would call me, or I'd get a ding because some stupid game wants me to play or something along those lines. So I decided as a layperson, this one will work better for clergy, for people who work in the church. You might need to adjust a little bit, but as a layperson, I have this focus mode. So it blocks everything. No people are allowed to get through. No apps are allowed to notify me. 0. Okay. And then and it comes on when I have it turn on when I'm at the location of my parish church. So now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you can only do one location, which is a kind of annoying. I would like to, because sometimes, if I'm scout camping, we go to the late Mass at a different church and that sort of thing. So it's kind of annoying that I can't say when I'm at this church, or this church. It would be nice, but whenever I get within range, and usually it's the property. If I'm in the parking lot, it's close enough, and I will get no notifications. And what's nice is with the Apple Watch, I can set a custom icon for that focus mode, and I can look at my watch, and I can see at the very top a little icon that shows me which focus mode I'm in, so I can be assured that I'm in the correct focus mode, and I will not be getting notifications when I'm at Mass. So I really like that. That's really nice. I have not done so, but I think I'm going to set up a custom home screen that has like prayer and mass reading apps like iBreviary. And I like to take notes during the homily. So maybe the Notes app or Drafts is what I use for notes, something along those lines. But that's one thing I like to use. I suppose for clergy, you could still use the focus mode. You just want to maybe use a schedule. So if you know the Mass schedule that you're going to be celebrating, and maybe just change what notifications you can get.
Exactly. That's what I do. So I have my my Mass schedule set up as the focus mode of my phone. And I have a contact. We have an emergency line, and the way it's set up is that the emergency line forwards and calls to me. So the emergency line number is always what shows. And so that number can always get through for notifications. I just have to remember to keep my phone on vibrate.
Right. That's the big one. So consider that, folks. That's a interesting way of doing it. So so it works even if I'm not at Mass. If I'm going to confession, I'm not going to get buzzed while I'm in confession or whatever it is I'm doing at church. If I'm at church for other things all the time, that might not work the same way. If I go to meetings at the church, on Wednesday nights, I may not want to get, interrupted in the meeting maybe, but I have to remember that mode is there so that if I'm expecting a call or a notification, I'm not like, why didn't I get it? Oh, that's right. I was at the church.
One of my complaints about the focus mode and how it ties together is that, at least for me on my Mac, when I'm in focus mode, it grays out the clock, which makes it for these aging eyes hard to see.
That's weird because so I'm in a focus mode right now, and I'll talk about that one in a second. And I don't see any difference in the clock. I suppose there must be a setting somewhere for that.
Are you dark mode or are you light mode on your?
Oh, light mode. My eyes can't stand dark mode.
Oh, okay. So maybe I have to sacrifice my dark mode.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that could be it.
One thing I love doing is turning on high contrast, like go to the accessibility and turn on some of like the high contrast where it just makes everything like black and white. and it makes me feel like I'm like in the 80s or something. It's really cool.
I want the green, the phosphor green. That would take me back to Jurassic Park. Or
feel like you're using IBM XT, right?
Yeah, like
there you
just
go.
The dumb terminal phone. Yeah.
So and that brings up another point is because my phone, my iPad, my watch, my Mac are all tied to my iCloud account. When I set a focus mode in one, the focus mode is active in all. So that's something to keep in mind. When I'm at church, my Mac is not making noises at home, but it doesn't matter since nobody's here. So that's fine. So another focus mode that I've set up is called podcasting. Now, obviously, it doesn't matter if most people aren't podcasters, but you could think of it as like VIP meeting mode. If you ever have meetings where some people need to be able to get through to you in extreme circumstances, but again, and it doesn't matter if most notifications come through because they won't be auditory. So that would be fine. So this is so it's any activity where you must not be disturbed, only allow people who will only call in dire circumstances. So with this one, I have it set so that I can be notified by people I podcast with, like Victor and Father Joseph. If if we got disconnected, I want you to be able to contact me if you're having trouble getting back into the podcast. My wife, obviously. I also have it set so that if someone calls twice in succession, fairly rapidly, that's a good indicator that there's something really wrong, and so they can get through it. I've let my family know that, and that'll also get through my sleep mode at night, so that because my phone is by my bed. So if someone in my family is, trying to get a hold of me in the middle of the night, they know call, hang up, call again right away, and we'll get through. So that's a good thing to know. And then I also allow notifications from certain apps that I need. Like for instance, in this one, I want notifications from my, audio recording app and, that sort of thing. There's not many that I allow, but there's a few. So I think that's it for that one. There's a kids on my device mode, and you might want to think about this. So I sometimes lend out my iPad to one of my kids. They can either do Khan Academy on it, which is they do math, and they like to use my iPad because they can use the pencil to do the math problems, which is really useful. Or some parents let their kids play a game, to distract them on their phone, but you don't want them interacting with your notifications, say from work and stuff. So you can set up a mode where, as you hand it to your kid, you set the focus mode to, mine's called Isabella Does Math, but it could be anything. And it will I set it to allow notifications from a larger pool of people, because I want to, if I'm on my computer, I still want those notifications to be coming in, but it restricts it a little more than normal, than the completely open mode. So
have you ever used the single app mode with the iPad?
Yes, the guided access is what they call it.
Yep.
It was when the kids were younger, I would do that. So it's a really nice mode where it requires I don't know what it is, 3 clicks of the button. At the time, it was when I had an iPad with a home button, so I'm not sure exactly what it is now, but it's probably 3 clicks of a button, and it puts it into a mode where you can't get out of it unless you know the secret click, 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 and passcode to turn off the mode. And that means, because I remember the kids would be playing a game and they'd swipe out of the game, because they're playing so hard. And luckily they would be like, "Dad, we're in whatever your email or something," and they come running with the iPad. So yeah, especially for younger kids, that's a good mode to be aware of. But yeah, the big one I want is to block news notifications from news apps. I don't want them having to see. Good Lord, what they consider breaking news these days. I don't want them to have to see Kardashian headlines.
I would, just as a general rule, turn off notification from news apps in general.
I probably should, just because it's almost always something dumb. And if something really big happens in the world,
right? I mean, yeah.
If Putin does the unthinkable, I'll know. Someone will let me know. Right. So, then like I said, there's the driving focus mode. For me, that one, I can receive calls from people on my favorites list because of iOS you can set up people who you're on your favorites, and that's mostly my family and Jimmy Aiken, because Jimmy needs to be able to get through because we have very important business often to talk about with Mysterious World, and so I let him through, and I also have auto reply for messages but only for people on my favorites list. I don't want everyone to know I'm out driving, and any random person who text my number. But if someone sends me a text, it will say, I'm driving right now and in focus mode, and I'll contact you when I'm available. So
we have I have a priest friend who, when he's in a group chat, we joke that we always have a record of when he's driving, because his
focus mode
phone often will tell all of us,
Yeah.
I'm currently driving.
I have Android Auto on my car, and I seriously can't even remember what I used to do without it, because texts, and everything come up. You just tap the screen, it reads it to you. You just, reply with your voice and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's just like revolutionized the in car, infotainment experience.
Right.
Yes. And so with the do not disturb mode, you can also have that set up then for when you're driving, that if you connect to your Bluetooth mode on your phone, if autoplay or the CarPlay starts, right, that when that happens, it's going to automatically activate that mode for you, which is nice.
That is very nice.
I think it also does it when you're in a high speed of motion.
I haven't noticed that because I've been a passenger and I've never had it go on that way. So there might be an additional option you have to turn on in your phone, because I've never had it just come on when I'm in the passenger seat and my wife's driving. So that would be interesting. I don't know that I would want that, just because I like beyond when I'm driving and my phone's connected to the Bluetooth, but not otherwise. That would be, I think, the way to do it. Yeah, my car doesn't have CarPlay, so it relies purely on Bluetooth. And let me tell you, having the Bluetooth phone controls in the steering wheel, so I can pick up and talk and hang up from there, that is awesome. Although every time I panic, like which is the right button, because I don't use it enough to have it just muscle memory. And so I'm like, I have hung up on people accidentally before.
Does yours at least have an activation for Siri on the steering wheel, or no?
No, it doesn't. I have to call out, but yeah.
That's really nice when you're able to hit a button for Siri.
Yeah, I'm gonna my car, we have two cars. We have a Honda Civic and we have a Ford Transit, and neither one have CarPlay. The Civic has the Bluetooth that connects automatically, although every time it connects to my wife's phone. I'm in the car driving away, my wife's phone is, on the kitchen counter, but it wants to connect to her phone. I don't know why, but except when I'm sitting at my desk and my wife is going somewhere, I'll be listening to a podcast and suddenly it will cut off. And I'm like, what happened to my podcast? It's playing on the car's Bluetooth. Yeah, it's that Bluetooth. I hate Bluetooth. Bluetooth is the worst thing out there that we have, but that's all we have. So, I am looking forward to someday getting CarPlay and getting around all of that. So, any other tips on using focus modes on your devices?
I'm just going to have to give it a try. I've never, I've been using smartphones for a while. It just, I've never tried it. And I think after this, I'll definitely give it a try.
Yeah. Give it a shot. Set up a simple one like the mass time focus mode or something like that, and see how it works for you. It's not something I want all the time or even most of the time, but there are, for me, very specific times when it's invaluable. So I used to, before the automated focus modes, I have it set up so whenever I turn on my podcasting software, it also, I have an automation that turns on the focus mode, the podcasting focus mode on my all my devices, including Do Not Disturb, and turns down the external speakers and all that sort of stuff, so that I really it's just quiet. The only thing I can't automate is the Amazon Echo, that I have to manually mute. So, but
Yeah.
that's another conversation.
I was doing something similar. I had these RFID tags, and I set up automation through my phone that when I scanned an RFID tag, it would, mute my notifications and do all sorts of cool things. So
we ought to do an episode where we talk about RFID tags, because I've iPhones can do it too. I've tried to do it. I think I need better tags because it's been so hit or miss for me. You can get really cheap tags that are just basically stickers, but I think I need something a little better than what I got before, because I had one where I wanted an automation that I could run when I sat down at my spot at the dinner table. I could just put my phone on it and it would, mute things and, change things like that. Yeah. My long suffering wife is very patient with me. So excellent. So folks, if you have any tips on using focus modes, or you have any questions about focus modes, we'd be happy to entertain them. And you can let us know by sending an email to technology@sqpn.com. So before we move on, I want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including the W family, Jim B, Simon R, Gregory F, and Emily W. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So we have some headlines we'd like to talk about, and it being the fall product season, everyone's trying to get their new stuff out ahead of the Christmas shopping season. Amazon had an event recently where they announced a whole bunch of stuff, and so there's let me pull up the list here. There are new Echoes, there are new Ring and Blink security products, a new Fire TV, and a couple other things, a new Kindle and that sort of thing. So let's just talk about some of the ones that they came out with. There is a new, like the Echo. The Amazon Echoes have really proliferated like tribbles, all different kinds, and some with screens, some without. One's meant for kids with special designs. What do y'all think? Would Father, you don't have kids obviously, but if you did have kids, or Victor with your kids, would you put an Echo in your kids' room?
Yeah, I mean, I have. It's nothing I feel great about, but it is handy when you can just drop in on them when it's time for dinner or do announcements and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're set up with the kids account. We have the kids playtime or whatever it's called, free time subscription for them, because they have Kindle tablets as well, and it gives them access to all the kids apps. And so they can, listen to stories and do other things. Since our 9-year-old has discovered public radio, that's all he wants to listen to now on his radio at night. But I do like the Echoes that have like the little like display on them that can display the time and even cooler, like the temperature on them as well. So that part is nice. Amazon Tech it's something that's hard to get excited for, because it's basically there to help you consume more Amazon product.
Right.
So it's kind of like there's just this whole functional thing to it, and the design is just kind of secondary. Like, okay, so this will let me, listen to my Amazon Music better, or, find out what the weather is better. It's hard to really get super excited about it, because it's basically just a gateway to a very, narrow, my Kindle library, my Amazon Music library, that sort of thing. So
you don't want your 6 a.m. notification to let you know that Amazon is indeed starting their second Prime Day.
Oh, gosh.
No. Does yours do that, or?
That really happened.
Oh, no.
I woke up in the morning, and after I dismiss my alarm, the yellow light comes on and says, "This is a reminder of the Amazon Special Access Day," or whatever it was called.
I have the notifications silenced, so I have to specifically ask for it to give me my notifications. But it drives me crazy when I say, hey, Echo, set a timer for 20 minutes, and says, ding, by the way, no, by the way, be quiet now. I don't want your by the way. Oh man, there was a time I was I don't know. I was upset with the kids for something or other that they'd done. And I told Echo to set a timer or something like that. And it does this, by the way. I'm like, read the room, Echo. Shut up.
Yeah.
I was really dead.
The new one comes with a built-in accelerometer, though, so at least now it'll know when you're throwing it across the room.
Yeah. But about the hard, when you're commenting about the hardware, like I still have an ancient one of those long, tall, Echoes in the kitchen. I mean, it's like 6 years old. I have not felt a need to replace it. It continues to work.
That's my bedside one.
Yeah. 8 years old, before they were even available to the general public. Amazon sent us a note saying, hey, we're coming out with this thing called an Echo, and because you have spent like way too much money with us, would you like to be one of the first people to try it out? And I was like, sure, why not? Yeah. And I was just blown away with it. This is like 2014.
Yeah. So I've got an Amazon Tap that I have in my room, which was a very early portable one. It's got a battery in it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed that they did away with that one, but they wanted to always be listening or something, I guess, because that was the idea, that you could hit the button
right
and have it activate.
It will only listen to a voice command when you hit the button, and that's why it's in my bedroom, because, well, as far as I know, as far as they've told us, that's the only time it's actually listening. So the new products we were going to talk about is, so they have a new Echo Dot, and they have these cute little ball shape now, which is kind of nice. And one of them has, as you mentioned, Victor, a clock, like a digital clock on the front that gives you, the time, obviously. And one of them has a new temperature sensor, at least one of them does, that you can set it up to, like, say, turn on a smart fan if the room's too warm or that sort of thing. So that's kind of a nice little feature. I'm not sure. I mean, it's very specific. I mean, if I need a fan, I usually know I need a fan and it's on already. Or I have fans that come on with automations, like timer automations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could find a use for a sensor if I could expose that to, say, a home automation server, which will come up later. But that it's kind of interesting.
I'm sure Amazon is getting a lot more value out of that thermometer than you ever will.
Yes. Well, that's the thing, is they're reading the room, shall we say?
Yeah.
So the other thing that's interesting is this, Amazon owns the Eero, which is the mesh Wi-Fi system, and they're now building the Eero extender stuff into their dots. So you don't have to buy more Eero extenders if you have dots around your house. So that's an interesting additional feature.
If my parents are listening, I'll ask them to plug theirs now. Not for bad reasons, but they have an Eero in their home, and this is a good solution for a future Christmas gift episode, maybe, of a way to extend the Wi-Fi in their house for a very affordable rate.
I also like the idea that they're adding spatial audio to the higher end ones, the $200 smart speakers. I'm not sure that it would be something I would want necessarily. I mean, but it's kind of nice if that's something you're looking for. I have HomePods that I listen to music on. That's what I kind of prefer. And they sound pretty good. And then Echo Auto. I have no idea why I would want an Echo in my car. Everyone has a phone, so like you said, you get Siri, we got or you get Google. I don't know why I need an Echo in my car. It still baffles me.
They have to let you know about Prime Day from your car.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I see you're driving somewhere. Did you know it's Prime Day? So then they talk about some new Ring cameras. I've been a long time Ring user back before they were owned by Amazon. I'm not sure if I was starting out today, I would get Ring cameras, but maybe I would. I don't know. There hasn't been a lot that's really excited me that they've had recently. Again, Victor, as you said, like they don't seem to be all about the hardware. They seem to be more about how can this connect into their ecosystem.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Ring and Blink? It seems to be the same product to me, but I don't see a difference.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't see a difference myself. There's
one seems cheaper than the other, so I'm gonna guess that the hardware in the Blink isn't as good, or maybe the software is less featured.
I think that's what it is. Is the Blink it doesn't have all of the smarts that the Ring cameras have. Like the Ring cameras have, they alert when someone enters the specific area. It can send you an alert. It can send you it's on or off. The Blink, I mean, it's like, this is the video, that sort of thing. It's like the Wyze cameras. It's the lower end products line. So yeah. And then aside from that, this new Amazon Fire TV stuff. I had an Amazon Fire TV stick ages ago, but I have Amazon Prime Video built into my Apple TV. I don't.
It's on my Roku. Yeah.
Yeah, I switched to Roku, and early I was not impressed with Roku. Roku, the latest iterations have been much better. A few years back, I bought my dad the full Fire TV, so it's one of the TVs that has that built in, and he really likes that. And on top of it, it was like mid-$100 on Prime Day.
So, and then in addition to the TVs, there are a new Kindle called Scribe, which the big thing about this one seems to be that it comes with a pencil that lets you make notes on the screen, which would be awesome if you could highlight and write right on the text. But all it does is it pulls up a little blank Post-it note sort of area that then goes away. Like I want to like be able to write on the page like in a book. I can highlight in the Kindle app on an iPad. I can use my pencil there, but I want to like write notes right on the screen. But
they could add Clippy to it.
Yeah.
Clippy says, "Did you know it's
Yeah.
Amazon Prime Day?"
Yeah, and and the fact that this latest Kindle is like $340, which is, the cost of, the upgraded Switch at that point. And you're buying a Kindle so that you can buy ebooks from Amazon, which often cost more than the print version too. And yeah, it's just, I think that they should be underwritten. If it's a device that's geared for, a certain platform, they should be underwriting, some of the cost of it as well, and not charging $340 for an e-reader.
It's about the same price as there's a higher end product than theirs, and probably better, called the Remarkable. And it looks like they copied off of that.
But you can't just buy like an Android tablet or a base, like a couple years old iPad for $300. And
you can buy an iPad for $349. I mean, that's a brand new iPad for $349. So, and it's in color.
and your Apple Pencil for about $90.
$79 is, I think you can get one for the $349 iPad. But yeah, like. Yeah, I look at like the Scribe or the Kindle Oasis is another one, and I'm thinking I look at these and I don't really need that. I have a basic Kindle Paperwhite does it for me. I just needed to do the basic thing. There are things I like about the Oasis, which is it's waterproof and that it's got a mechanical button to turn the pages. I'd like a mechanical button. But other than that, it's like I'm not going to pay another $100 for that or whatever it is. Like you said earlier, Victor, it's just that their hardware doesn't excite. It doesn't drive me to want to buy another product from them.
But if you need a $25 or $30 tablet for your kids, like the Kindle Fire is there on Prime Day or Black Friday, and yeah.
If Jeff Bezos went on a stage and wore a black turtleneck, would it excite you?
No. If Steve Jobs got up there and sold it to me, then I might be excited by it.
That would be an episode of Mysterious World.
Yes. Yeah. And speaking of Steve Jobs, one more thing, the Halo Rise, it's an alarm clock, a sleep tracker, and a wake-up light. An alarm clock, a sleep... Sorry, I'm doing the Steve Jobs iPhone announcement. So it's called the Halo Rise, and it's this light that kind of looks like a ring light a bit, and it has it's an alarm clock that tracks your sleep using radar. It doesn't use any type of device that's attached to your bed or anything like that. And it tracks your sleep, and when you are in the ideal phase of sleep, your different sleep phases, REM sleep and delta, I don't know, all the different phases. And if when you're in the one that's good to wake up from, which I don't remember, that's when it will wake you up within that window, like wake me up between this time and this time. And when I'm when it's a good time to wake me up. And then the light turns on, gradually getting brighter and brighter. A lot of times these things, these are made for single people. My wife would kill me if I got an alarm clock that had a light. I know
me out of
bed.
I know people who swear by their Philips smart sleeps because they gradually wake you up with light that simulates the rising of the sun and stuff. But I mean, I think if it woke me up before I was supposed to wake up, I would just be really upset and hit snooze. I get that enough now.
$150 alarm clock.
Yeah. I mean, people get disposable income, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, so that's some stuff that Amazon has. Their new products. If folks, are you interested in any of these? Did anything excite you? Let me know. Send us an email, technology@sqpn.com. The Echoes. I may get a new Echo at some point. I like the idea of better sound, and I've been toying with ones for the kids, but our house is small. I'm Italian. I can yell across the house much better than dropping in via the Echo. So
that's pretty much it. When you need a new Echo, you know that Amazon will have one to sell you.
Yeah, that's kind of it. That and a Kindle.
Yep.
And Alexa will let you know that you need a new Echo.
Yes, you will. So another headline today that I wanted to talk about is it's a series of blog posts, a couple of blog posts from this professor who talks about being part of the Global Traveler Program. And this is a program where for when you travel in and out of the country, the United States, you can be in the Global Traveler Program that lets you kind of skip some of the customs lines. And so he writes, his name's Ken Perlin, is a computer science professor. He says, recently I was traveling internationally. I have the Global Traveler option, so I could just go to a machine, put in my passport, put my face in front of a camera, get a piece of paper to hand to the immigration officer. But I was really tired from this flight, so I forgot to put my passport into the slot. I just posed for the camera, and it worked. The paper came out saying I was me. I handed it to the immigration officer. I was done. It seems my photo was enough to identify me. Apparently, sticking your passport into the slot is theater. Your government can already tell who you are just from analyzing a photo of you, and they'll let you into the country on that basis. And then he had a second blog post where he talked about why this is a bad thing. But what do you guys think of this? I mean, it sounds exactly surprising, right?
I've heard from people that they just show up at the customs and immigration. They say, "Oh, hello, Mr. So-and-so," come right in, without them doing anything at all. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're to that point where if you step into a public place, you're aware that you can be identified.
My mind goes to the benefits of this. Now, I don't like the privacy of it, but there could be a benefit of it that, especially with zero password stuff,
right?
That there's a more secure way to give two-factor authentication or whatever to make sure that banking accounts or whatnot are secure. I'd rather make sure I'm opting into that and not being thrown into that.
Right. I mean, we kind of already do that with Face ID and Touch ID and that sort of stuff where, we use our face or our fingerprint as a second factor. So we're already, although Face ID is probably, it's much less stringent than this probably is in facial recognition. I would think that the government program is using a much higher degree of recognition matching. I would hope. That may be just a my pie in the sky hoping, but he does talk about the problems with this is as a professor, wow, I could have every student's information right in front of me. I look at them and have all this information could pop up on my glasses and about them. And he's like, that's terrifying to think about that sort of thing, that we could do that. How would that change our society? And I kind of agree. I mean, I like the idea of, I'm terrible at remembering names. So I like the idea of having people's names to show up, as I'm looking at them. That would, save a lot of awkward social things, but it also, I don't know. There are lots of ways it could be abused.
I don't want to see their Instagram feed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was one of the big, problems people had with Google Glass when that was going around, is that the idea, like, somebody could be looking at me and like taking pictures of me and doing facial recognition on me, and I wouldn't even know it, because it's not the same as like holding up a phone, to me. But now people hold up phones. There was a story circulating on Twitter a couple of days ago where, I forget which baseball stadium it was in Canada, but someone was sitting and the person in front of them was holding their phone up and taking pictures of the people in the stands across the stadium, pulling them up in a facial recognition program. Names would appear.
Oh, wow.
And then halfway through the first, well, I guess, I don't know what it was, but, halfway through the game, the guy just got up and left, so obviously got what he needed. Yeah. So, I mean, that technology is accessible to anyone. So you have to just assume anytime you're out in public, people know you're there.
Scary dystopian future.
Well,
I mean, it doesn't have to be scary. That's the thing. It all depends on how much we make our politicians aware of what we want from it, what kind of companies that we do business with individually. Do we insist that we only work with companies that respect privacy to a greater degree than others? That sort of thing. And that can make a difference.
Could this be a way, I don't agree with this the moment I say it, but could this be a way around the politics of voter ID?
It never would.
Yeah, you mean instead of having to ask people for their identification, just IDing them as
by pictures of them. So you have a camera right there. The moment I say it, my stomach's in knots. But
well, it's just the politics that don't change a bit, because it's still, people would claim that it's still profiling, and then facial recognition, we've talked about before, is notoriously bad at with people who are not white. Any type of darker skin tone or other skin tones, whether it's Asian, Hispanic, the Southwest Asian, subcontinent of India or Pakistan, that area. I mean, African American, obviously, all of those things, they all work worse in facial recognition. So it's I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why that would still be a problem, I think.
But it's one of those politically where, people on one side of the aisle would say, oh, you object to this technology, but what if we used it for this thing that you are in favor of? Then wouldn't you be in favor of this technology?
Right.
So you have to either be opposed to it in principle, or not,
So our last headline is that United Airlines is planning to buy up to 500 electric flying taxis. And I'm kind of interested in this because what is it that they're going to use this for? I mean, it's basically, they talk about these, they would have like a relatively short range. What was it again? 60 miles.
Yeah.
So we're talking about flying people from either between very close suburban urban areas like New York to Newark, or from within the big city to suburbs.
There's only one use case for this, and if you look into it, and this is why airlines are so interested in it, is to fly people from a city center to an airport.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have to spend 45 minutes in a limo or a metro car or whatever driving to an airport.
Right.
I could see also, so for example, in Nebraska, you have Lincoln and Omaha. The Omaha airport is bigger than the Lincoln airport. And so you'd be able to do a shorter flight without using a full-size plane.
I mean, it's 60 miles, so it's not, is it, I mean, it would have to be a fairly close airports, but yeah, I mean, like I look at Boston, I think you could probably go from Boston to Worcester, which has got an airport, smaller regional airport, maybe Boston to Providence's TF Green. I don't know if you can get all the way to Manchester. That might be more than 60 miles, but it might that's the sort of thing is like, it's these hopping these regional areas, but or like you said, Victor, bringing people to the airport from the city.
The entire business case is I don't want to spend 45 minutes to an hour stuck in traffic trying to get to the airport. I want to spend $500 or $250 and go to a much closer one of these temporary helipads or whatever, and they just zip me right to the airport.
I mean, that's what they do now, right? Helicopters. That's what are used for this. Yeah.
If American Airlines wants to donate one to my parishes, it's my furthest parish is about 45 miles. So it would be pretty nice so I know the American Airlines execs listen to our podcast.
Sure.
So
Father Corey up in Montana probably wouldn't mind having one of these too.
Yeah.
So awesome. So, we'll see. They've been promising these, air cars or whatever for ages and ages. I'll be curious to see if it ever happens, in a short time frame. I mean, I think inevitably this sort of thing will happen, but how quickly is really the question.
George Jetson was just born this year, though, so we got
That's right. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. So that does it for our headlines. Let's move on to our picks of the week. Father, what is your pick this week?
My pick for this week kind of hits with our references to home automation earlier. It's called Home Assistant. It is, you guessed it, open sourced and running on Linux. And it primarily runs on a Raspberry Pi. I believe you can run it on a few other...
You can run it in a Docker instance on like a NAS, like a Synology NAS and that sort of thing. And they also have hardware.
You can also do it on a virtual machine and things like that. So, But the easiest use case of it would be on a Raspberry Pi. So I have set this up in my rectory, and we have the Lutron switches running, the Caseta ones, and several the Singlet LED lights, and just a lot of different random things that are different producers. And they boast having, I think, over 1,000 different integrations that you can set up.
Over 2,000. Yeah.
Over 2,000.
Yeah.
And so it really becomes like a local if this then that protocols too. So once you get them all set up, you can have one hub where all your devices are, but you can also do things of automated. So I have set up that my Ecobee thermostat sensor in my room, when it has been away or unoccupied for more than 30 minutes, all my room lights get turned off. And that wouldn't be possible without some link tied between them. Other things is I have it set. This is a really cool way to do things. You can set conditions when you set those, if then this, then that. And so the conditions I have set is like after 10 p.m., when I hit the living room switch off, it will turn off all the lights in the main living area, dining room, kitchen, and turn off my TV. And so we can have all those linked together so that they do that. And just a lot of fun things that you can tie things together and really bring home automation and break yourself out of being tied to one atmosphere or having to use an Alexa for everything.
Right. The big thing is that it bridges all the different protocols. So like anything that does home automation, that's in network connected, there is, or smart home stuff that's network connected, can be connected basically through this. And so, stuff that usually you can't get to work together, it's all here.
And I have mine. It's able to emulate, what are those called? The Philips Hue.
Yeah, the Philips Hue
bridges.
Yep, the hub. Yep.
Yep. And it's able to emulate that, to act like it's one of those. And that allows you to tie that into the Amazon Echo. Also, though, you can do a paid subscription through their cloud service that you can have some more integration with different cloud providers. I don't do that because my whole point of it was that I wanted to tie everything into a open source, non subscription methods and stuff. So,
yeah, I've been using Home Assistant for about 3 years. And once you get it set up, it runs really well. But there is a lot of like poking around on GitHub and in the wiki pages to get things set up. What I found is I've been using actually Samsung SmartThings before it was Samsung. A SmartThings hub I've been using now for 8 years. And that does a lot of the same things, a lot of the same integrations. So if you're someone who just wants to, do everything through a phone app, you might look at Samsung SmartThings. But if you're someone who wants to, install integrations and dive into config files and stuff, I think Home Assistant might be more for you.
There's a really good home app now, and a telephone app, and they've made it a lot better that you don't have to do as much as the config files stuff.
Yeah.
They'll have to do some of it.
And then when your Raspberry Pi crashes and corrupts the SD card, you better hope that you have a backup of the a snapshot of the config. Otherwise, you're starting from scratch.
Yes. Yeah. And also,
but
downside right now is Raspberry Pis are part of the hardware shortage.
Rare as hen's teeth, I think, is the word you're looking for. Yeah, I know. I have a Raspberry Pi myself, but I'm running Homebridge, which is similar, not exactly as robust, but it's really a lot of fun. It's kind of techie. It's not for everyone, so just say that up front. But yeah, this sort of thing can be really fun. They're selling a hardware thing too, though. You can get the Home Assistant Yellow, which is like a box with it pre-installed, the software pre-installed on it, and so that might be another route for those who don't want to go, the do-it-yourself bootstrap route.
Yeah, and it requires at least a Pi 3 or Pi 4. I tried to do a Pi 0 with it, and she got really warm.
Yeah. They used to have a cool way that you could turn on a fan that's connected to the GPIO pins. There was a really cool integration for that when the temperature went above a certain thing, but then one of the most recent updates turned that off, and I haven't figured out how to get that going again.
I do have mine set up with sensors with my Ecobee that when it gives above a certain temperature in my room, it does turn on the fan. So.
Yeah.
Nice. Excellent. Victor, what's your pick this week?
Yeah, my pick is something I just got it, so I can't comment on the long-term durability, but it's called a cable card, cable with a K, C, or card with a C, that rhymes with P, and that stands for pretty neat. It's a little device that's about the size of a credit card. It's about as thick as maybe 3 credit cards. And inside of this thing is a USB-C to USB-C cable, adapters, USB-A to USB-C, USB micro to USB-C, Lightning to USB-C. So basically within this one credit card size device, you have basically a cable that can connect to just about anything. And also it has an SD card reader, so that whatever device you connect the USB cable to can read SD cards. It doubles as a phone stand, wireless charger for when you have your phone resting on the phone stand. And there's even a little ambient light, so that if you're watching movies on your phone, you have a little backlight for it there. So this is like perfect for throwing in your pocket or your purse or your bug out bag or whatever. And you have basically every kind of connectivity that you might need for your phone, to pair it with a USB, power pack, a battery, and you're good to go. But again, like I said, I haven't really done durability tests on this. I haven't sat on it, for example, but yeah, so I don't know how to hold up. It's a little pricey, I think, for what it is. A bunch of cables and adapters. It's about $36. There are knockoffs that lose the wireless charging light and SD card reader that are about half that much. But yeah, if you've ever found yourself saying, I don't have the right cable with me, I wish I could read this SD card, or why can't I watch movies on my phone with a backlight, this might be for you.
The one thing it's missing is the Lightning headphone adapter.
Yeah, it does not have that.
Excellent. I'll put that on my Christmas list. So my pick this week is an app I've been using for ages, and it's called Marked 2. And it's a preview app, but it's more than that. What it does is, if you write in Markdown, which is a type of plain text that includes markings, punctuation that shows formatting, which I'll put a link in the show notes for that, because you need to. I don't want to get into everything that Markdown is, but it's really good. And I write a lot in Markdown. What it does is it works with a lot of different apps, and it will preview what the formatting should look like once it's in a different form, whether it's HTML or rich text. And one thing I really love about it is you can put your own style sheets in. So if I have like a particular website, I can import the style sheet for my blog, say, and I can write in a different text editor, like I could say Drafts or NVAlt, and it will, in live real time as I'm typing, if I have Marked open as well, it will show me all of what it will look like in final form on my blog, or whatever website. It also does things like grammar checking, and it tells you word count and the reading level, and there's all kinds of other writer specific features to it. It'll validate links, so if you're putting links in, it will tell you whether the links are good, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's a really great writing tool for anyone who writes for the web. If your writing is going to end up on the web in any way, and you like to write in Markdown, it's really great. It's not expensive. You can buy it for $14. If you have SetApp, it's part of the SetApp subscription. It's available in the Mac App Store. It's available also, I think it's still available no, it's only Mac OS right now. I think for a time it was available on iOS, but I think he's only focusing primarily on the Mac now. So it's a nice little app, and you check it out. It might fit the bill. And again, like if you have SetApp, it's already there. And check out Markdown. It's a really great way of writing without all the overhead of, say, writing in Word. So let's. I think that does it for now. We would love to hear what you think of our discussion. If you have any tips, any questions about anything we've talked about, you can comment on the show at sqpn.com/technology. or at the StarQuest Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. Send an email to technology@sqpn.com. Visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord, where we're having some great tech conversations. And you'll find links from our discussion and our picks of the week in our show notes at sqpn.com. Follow The Secrets of Tech wherever you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, your favorite podcast app, at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/StarQuestMedia. And we'd like to thank James for his research assistance in this episode. Until next time, Victor Lambs, thank you for joining me and sharing The Secrets of Technology.
Thanks, Dom.
Father Joseph Sun, thank you as well.
Thank you, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Technology on StarQuest.